Hello again to all subscribers and listeners of this channel. Today I will be reviewing Attack on Titan Season 2, Episode 10, entitled Children. First thoughts. Another very awesome episode. Again, more good characterization. A really nice backstory for Ymir. Really good emotional conflict with Ymir, and a good breakdown as to why Ymir connected with Historia the way she did. But let's go forward. So in this episode, the plot. The episode opens up to some scouts returning to Connie Springer's village. Then they rediscover the upside down Titan that can't walk, the one that's stuck inside the house, or I think that might be Connie's house actually. For a brief instant, the Titan tries to move, but it can't because his limbs are far too small to carry his body. In reaction to that, the scouts stumble back, and in doing so, one of the scouts drops a photo of Connie's mother and father, actually. When he goes to pick it up, he picks it up upside down by accident. He then notices a strong resemblance between Connie's mother and the Titan that can't move, the one that's stuck inside the roof of the building. We transition to the forest, back to the forest, where Rainer and Bertolt are changing plans. As they both realize the scouts are getting closer to their hiding spot, they discuss what to do next. Rainer also tells Bertolt to go ahead and pursue Annie. It's obvious to Rainer that Bertolt has some type of feelings for her. To this, Bertolt objects and acts really adorably funny for a few seconds, but whatever. I thought that was an interesting scene. So after that brief little dialogue, they both drop down to take Eren and Ymir peacefully. Eren feigns weakness and feigns helplessness, only to surprise Rainer with an attack. Even though his arms haven't fully grown back yet, he tries to fight Rainer anyway. As Rainer struggles to put Eren in a sleeper hold, Ymir and Bertolt have a conversation. Bertolt reveals to Ymir that he and Rainer lost a friend many years ago. I think, was it 5 years ago? Their friend Marcel was eaten by a Titan that resembles Ymir's current Titan form. Except this Titan was smaller, it was a bit thinner, didn't have as much muscle tone, it didn't have claws, and it didn't have fangs. Other than that, this Titan that used to be Ymir's old Titan form when she was an unconscious Titan looks very similar to her current Titan form. So in this conversation, Ymir tries to remember what she did, who she ate, etc. And she says that for 6 decades, life was a blur. It was just a period of wandering around aimlessly, and most of what she did she couldn't remember. She apologizes to Bertolt for not fully remembering eating his friend Marcel when she was an unconscious Titan. After this, Ymir agrees to ride on Bertolt's back as he uses the ODM gear to move through the forest. Rainer takes an unconscious Eren that he just strangled and put to a sleeper hold. He takes him on his back and follows Bertolt. During this time when they're going through the forest, Ymir pleads with them to let her get Historia. She somehow knows that Historia is still looking after her and probably going to try to find her. How Ymir knows this, I'm not sure, but she knows this for sure and is trying to convince both of them that she should be let go and try to find Historia. There's a cut, and then we jump to another scene. A flashback scene of a young Ymir. Before she was given the name Ymir, she was taken in by some village people as an orphan. When she was brought to their, I don't know what that was, a castle or a big house, I don't know what it was, but when they brought her there, she was worshipped as their queen. Treated extremely well, and given the name of a supposed founding Titan, or the supposed founding Titan. This is until she is found by some unknown soldiers. I don't know who these soldiers were, but they break into her quarters and demand of her, or they'll kill the villagers. Ymir gives in and tells these soldiers that she is of royal blood, but it doesn't seem to work out very well. She and her worshippers are kidnapped, beaten, brought to a hill or a wall or something, shoved down the side of it until apparently they become Titans. I'm not sure how that works, but it looks like they were transforming into Titans after they were beaten, tortured, and thrown off the side of the wall. During the flashback, Ymir recounts how her first lie led to other lies that ultimately defined her fate as a human being. We then see Ymir's early Titan form, and like I said, it looks a lot like her current Titan form, except a bit smaller, a lot thinner, not as muscular, no fangs and no claws. This Titan is running, eating other humans, not interacting with anyone else. It eventually falls asleep somewhere, buries itself until it erupts out of the ground, attacks Rainer, but Marcel pushes him out of the way, and Ymir's Titan form eats Marcel, Rainer and Bertolt's friend. We then see Ymir's memories of before, during and after meeting Historia. We then come back to the present where they're flying through the forest with their ODM gear. Ymir covers Bertolt's eyes and makes him nearly crash into a tree and almost makes both of them fall to the ground. It's here that Ymir gives the two kidnappers an ultimatum. She's able to convince them of a plan that she has to get Historia and get them out of the forest. She transforms, gets Historia, here's her initial plan. She transforms, gets Historia, or she transforms and betrays the two to the scouts, and she forces Bertolt and Rainer to pick what they want. Eventually, they both give in to her and let her look for Historia while in her Titan form. The scouts are in the forest already. Ymir's in the forest. They're both coming towards each other. Ymir catches all of them. She checks each one of them out to see which one's Historia. She finds Historia, catches Historia in her Titan mouth, bounds back through the forest towards Rainer and Bertolt, just as Rainer transforms into his armored Titan form. They all latch onto each other, leaving the scouts behind. And the episode ends with the scouts trailing behind them, racing away from the giant forest. Interesting things I noticed. I guess she wasn't fully conscious, but one of the three things that I noticed in this episode. One, Ymir still called Historia Krista, which implies that she never fully heard Historia speak her real name back in, episode 4? She actually didn't hear Krista say Historia. Otherwise, she wouldn't still call her Krista. So she doesn't know Historia's real name just yet. Number 2, the young Ymir seems so innocent compared to her current form, or her current age, which makes sense considering the young Ymir was an orphan, was basically homeless, was just barely on the edge of life, and had not gone through all the different lies that she had to live to in order to survive. The older Ymir has spent her whole life being an expert liar to get herself by day. Interesting thing number 3. The interesting thing that I noticed is that after 6 decades of being a mindless Titan and gaining the abilities she has after eating Bertolt and Rainer's friend, Marcel, it's interesting that Ymir didn't seem to age that much. She's technically 60 years older, but she only looks about a few years older than she was before she ever became any type of Titan. So in 60 years, she looks about the same, roughly the same. So my question is, do other Titans have this? When they become a Titan, do they also have these interesting anti-aging properties that is like due to the Titan transformation? And does this work for the unconscious Titans, or does it work for the Titan shifters, or does it work for all types of Titans? I don't know. I just think it's interesting. Animation. The animation was on point as usual. Also, there are points where the CGI is used a little bit better than in most of the other episodes. There's a scene where the scouts' horses are separating into a V formation, and this scene is at about 18 minutes 45 second mark of the episode. This, along with the Titans walking out of the forest, actually looked pretty good. You can kind of tell it was CGI, but it didn't look awkward like CGI usually looks. At least not in this scene. Not to me. Best about the episode. In my opinion, the best about the episode was the exploration of Ymir's behavior and her past. She told lies when she was young in order to survive. She told lies that almost got her killed. She had been lied to since she was a child. She had spent her whole life living a lie. Even her name was a lie, because she most likely has no real blood, but they just assumed she was when they gave her the name Ymir. And then she meets Historia, who also lived a lie, was lied to as a child, and was living a lie in order to protect herself from harm, whatever that harm was. That connection was absolute intimacy without ever using nudity or overt sexuality or silly cliched romantic scenes to signify their unique bond with each other. Very well written characterization in my opinion. Worst about the episode, nothing really was bad in this episode. Everything was on point as far as I'm concerned. Favorite scene? I have a few scenes that I really liked. In fact, 3. Number 1, the funny part where Connie is kicking Ymir's Titan form in the head. That was kind of funny. Number 2, Raynor transforming while running away towards the episode's end. That whole sequence, a lot of these transformation sequences are very well drawn, very well animated. That was another version of a well animated transformation sequence of a Titan shifter turning into their Titan form. So really good. And the third favorite scene was Ymir when she was being reborn under the starlight. That whole scene when she was just sitting up after she had swallowed Marcel, really nicely done. And is another example of very good non-sexual use of nudity. Her going back to her normal body signifies a type of rebirth of her humanity after spending decades wandering around as an unconscious Titan. That whole sequence where she just wakes up and is just laughing at what happened to her in life and how the fates were in her favor, really nicely done. Really nicely done animation right there. Also, really nice color scheme too, with the background, the blue and purple hues, the light formation that was in front of her. Also, really nice touch by the animators right there. Really nice. From a 1 to 10 score, I give this episode a 9.5. Almost completely perfect. Loved it all the way through. Overall, I would say this was a great episode that peered more deeply into Ymir's head, peered more deeply into her mind, her past, her behavior, her attitude. It drew in a deeper connection between her and Historia, showed a complex, multi-dimensional relationship between her, Bertolt, and Raynor, and finally, it did a great job progressing the tension between the scouts and the kidnappers, all while giving us all this background about Ymir as a character. Really nice episode, loved it, and that's all I got to say for today. Please like, subscribe, and share my videos whenever you can, however you want. Please donate when you can through the PayPal link or the Patreon, so that way I can keep my content going. Really hope you guys stay tuned for the next couple of episodes of this review series. That's all I got to say for now. Hope you guys have a nice day. I'm out. Peace.